All right, it's 9:30. Good morning, everyone. We're going to start our meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. It's February 7th, 2023. I'm going to start off with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. The Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. So I've called the meeting to order, and I'm going to remind everyone of turn their cell phones off or place them on vibrate so it doesn't disturb the meeting. And I'll remind council of declaration of pecuniary interest if it arises. So we do have minutes here from the regular council meeting on January 17th. If they're all in order, I'll look for a motion to receive them. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, so we're going to move right into delegations here. And the first delegation is Eric Hanna, President and CEO of the Calvert Hospital, and Mark Carter, the board member. So I'll invite you up to the table here, and you can welcome. Feel free to up there or the table, whatever you suit you there. It's
start off here, and then Mark can join me in a minute. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update to you. This is number 5, I guess it is, that we've been doing an update. And there's some of the councils have told me, said, this is great. This is the first time that the hospital has been before us and hasn't been asking for money. And I said, well, not yet. But I said, we probably have an obligation to keep you more informed. And I do want to start off by saying that this township has been very, very supportive in our advocacy efforts, as well as in financially over the last few years. So what I wanted to do is just give you an update right now as to where we're at with respect to the hospital update. And then at the end, we'll just have Mark come up and maybe speak about it, because she and I are both residents on Belmont Lake. And so what we've done from a board's perspective is we've asked a member of the hospital board to join me. And so up front, and we'd ask people who live in that riding. So for example, we made the presentation down yesterday and last night in Brighton. One of our board members lives in Brighton, and she joined me there so that she can say, why is this important to them? So I think what's happening at CMH today, I like to use this particular picture, and certainly you folks would understand this one as well. We're in this geopolitical boundaries, and that really doesn't reflect how healthcare is received. So what you see in this particular picture on the right-hand side is you have ambulances from Peterborough County, then you have ambulances from Hastings, and then you have an ambulance as well then from Northumberland. So we're right at that crux of everybody coming together. And what's really important then for you and with last night in Brighton is that while this hospital may not be your primary place or may be your primary place, we also have to work very closely with other hospitals, whether or not it's Peterborough or Quincy, etc. And that's what we see when we start to take a look at our volumes and where we go. You're wondering about what's happening at the hospital. This is a day in November. I can tell you it's not much different yesterday. The top line actually shows that on a 34-bed hospital, we had 43 patients in the hospital. And so what happens then? Patients, when we don't have beds, they move down into the emergency department. And that means then we have 6 beds out of the 14 are in the emergency department. And then you wonder why things get slow in the emergency department, because we don't have as many treatment places for people. But that's typical right now for our hospital, being about 120, 130% occupied. That is, we're in the top 10% of occupancy rates right now. And when you come to take a look at our populations, as with many of them, the aging population is what's going to drive up our volumes. So we're already overbedded right now. The next thing that happens then is we take a look at our emergency departments, and you'll see We have approximately 50 emergency department visits a day. Those visits have stayed relatively flat, which is kind of interesting saying they're relatively flat. As you know, this community has lost an awful lot of family doctors. And so you will see an awful lot more people using the emergency department. There are a few more nurse practitioners that are taking up some of the slack, but we haven't really seen a significant uptick in the amount of emergency departments yet because of the lack of primary care. What you do see, though, is that we see that in this particular case, they talk about people left without being seen. So these are people who came into the emergency department and they waited and they waited and they waited and finally said, that's enough. That number then is about 15% in this particular day. The provincial average is about 7%. And that, again, is just because that we cannot process people fast enough. That emergency department, as you all know, was built in 1986, and it was not designed to accommodate as many people as we have right now. And as a result, then what we see then is we don't have enough examination rooms, et cetera. So we may have all the staff, but you can't get people in and out as quickly as what you would need to. COVID-19, that was just, we tracked that. And it is still, it is still out there. Today, there are 3 people in the hospital with COVID. And that's a challenge, and it gives us a challenge, as you'll see later on. The other thing that's happening as well, and you folks are well aware of this as well, is we refer to the patients as alternate level of care patients. So these are people who have finished their episode of care, but they're not well enough to go home, and they're likely on their way then to a long-term care facility or some other facility. You will see in this particular day, we had 14 people waiting that were finished their care, 12 of them going to long-term care. So when the mayor and I are talking about, do you think we're going to have enough demand to fill the long-term care beds? Oh yeah, that won't be a problem. Yesterday we were up to 16 people waiting to go to long-term care. So the demand is there, not just people waiting in the hospital. And so we need to make sure that we find better places for those people to go, and that's similar to you. You will see later that we want to try and do a two-pronged approach of acute services and long-term care. So why redevelop? The key reasons for that then, as you know, the facility was built in 1953. I think many people are aware too that the first hospital was 1936. The one on Front Street, people are aware of that one. Down beside Sharps, about $3 to $4 down. It's a tourism house where they attract and hold things that way. The founder of that hospital, a dear friend of mine, it's my wife's grandfather. 1936, he was a physician, moved to Campbellford and started the hospital. So when I came out of retirement and people asked me to come out of retirement, they said, why would you do that? Aren't you enjoying life up at Belmont Lake? I said, I'm doing it for my wife, her family, and the history that is there. So we're not in the 1936 building, but we are in the 1953 building. And what that means then is that we just don't have an infrastructure that is there. So today, as I said, there are 3 patients in the hospital right today with COVID. We're able to control that, but when we start to get up into 4, 5, and 6, what it means then is we don't have enough private beds. And before you know it, then, if you will, unfortunately, the disease spreads from one person to another person. In fact, the last time that we had an outbreak, it started in the special care unit. And as you know, if you've been in that special care unit, you can reach out and you can touch the person beside you. It's just too small. And so what's happened then is public health has told us when we get over a certain threshold, you have to shut down and you can't admit anybody else to that. You don't want to say we're going to the hospital with something as simple as pneumonia or COPD, and you would normally be admitted for 6 or 7 days, and then you go home and saying, sorry, we can't admit you're going to have to be transferred to Peterborough. That's not the role of Peterborough. That's something we should be doing, but that's what will happen from public health. They will shut us down. So we talked a little bit about that, the inpatient unit. It's 34 beds, and today we're running close to 40 beds. Then the emergency department as well, built in 1986, I guess. So it's almost 40 years old. So you can appreciate all the design standards from them would be significantly different and similar. I was talking to your CAO before, and the design for your long-term care, the design standards that you have now for those nursing homes, what they were 40 years ago, they aren't the same, but that's who we are. In fact, we've got some design standards in our place that are 1953. So there are 2 patient rooms there. Please don't ask for one of those ones, so we don't charge you less or more, but it is a serious matter. We've got 2 patient rooms. There's no washrooms. Never heard of that before. You have to tighten up your gown and go down the hall. I mean, that's not appropriate, and the washrooms are so small right now, you can't get your water into them. So there's a real need to have that redevelopment done from that side. You may have heard that we had an announcement the other day. We started off at we secured $11.4 million, but somehow or another, rightly so, when they added up all the money that's gone into the hospital in the last year, it's been $13.1 million. As David Piccini said to me, he said, "Boy, you've only been there a year and you brought in $13.1 million. That's been the largest investments we've ever seen in Campbellford Hospital." And I said, I understand that, but we're replacing generators that are in there right now that won't start. And we're replacing HVAC systems that quite honestly were blowing mold. And so those are 40 years old. So these investments that we are putting in, they're just keeping the lights on, barely. They're not addressing any of the undersized washrooms or the number of rooms that we need to treat people or anything. We estimate that we will require an additional $26 million just to retain the current level. So I want to, there will be an application that's going in for funding close to $15 million so that we don't have to close that unit every time we have a COVID outbreak. But even doing that, as I said, we're not going to address the growth into the future, and it's not, it doesn't allow us to really create an efficient organization in terms of patient flow. So the other aspect that you're again familiar with has to do with long-term care beds. Omni Homes is there. They were approved 2 days before the RIT drop, so that was back in April, to build 128 beds as well. Currently, Omni Homes operates one nursing home there that's 43 beds, but right now the way the regulations are, you can only operate if your beds are private or semi-private rooms. So they had a number of 4-bed rooms. You can't operate that. So now they're operating 2 bedrooms. So here we have a facility then, or a community then, as you folks know as well, here with a shortage of long-term care. We used to have 43 beds in this area. Now we're down to 31, and both our communities are planned to go to 128 each. With that aging population, that's what you're going to see. The debate I have, or not debate, a point I want to make with David Piccini, and you will probably have the same thing with Dave Smith here as well. They'll come back and they'll say, well, your communities aren't growing as much as say Mississauga. No, they're not growing as much as that. But if you look at the growth rate of the people over the age 75, that's significantly higher than the provincial average. When you talk about healthcare, that's my issue, right? It's that growth is what's doing it. So the issue with us in Omni Homes, they need to develop by 2025, or they will lose cancellation of their licenses. And you folks are well aware of that type of discussion as well with your own facility. So they do not have, if you will, plan B. And their plan A is to rebuild with us on what we were going to refer to as a campus of care. So we, as you have heard, we have a campus now that we can build on, thanks to the generous generosity of Jim Curl. We have 49 acres of land on County 30. And I think for some of you, you know some of the history around here. I remember when I got here, even though I've been up in this area for my entire life, I didn't understand the sensitivity on which side of the bridge you live on in Campbellford. I don't know if you guys have heard that or not. And so like when we eventually decided we're going to build the hospital on the western side of the bridge, everybody thought, oh, no, you could never do that. Why not? It's kind of like it's the big divide, right? I'm kind of going, look, if you live in Havelock or Norwood or Hastings, you just made a friend, right? As opposed to building on the western side, on the eastern side of the bridge behind the hospital. Anyway, so we are on the western side of the bridge, right across, almost across from Nicholson Brothers. 49 acres of land that Jim has generously donated to us. And why that's important, again, you guys said, I'm updating you folks on things that you already know. You are for the long-term care folks to make it attractive, similar to what you did. You provided the land and you also provided all the infrastructure. If we build collectively together, what that means then is that we will have the ability to put the hospitals have the same sewer and water, et cetera, same thing that you did for housing. So it makes perfect sense, right? And in fact, for Omni, what they're basically saying, we have to now extend the sewer and water out significantly. So this picture shows the land that is there. And when you see that, what you'll see is we can put up the hospital and the nursing home. in phase one. And then what we're looking at then is we've had started to have discussions now with the county of Northumberland about affordable housing of some sort, similar to what you do. What we're trying to do, Mr. Mayor, is keep up to you because you guys are too far ahead. But there's no competition between Campbellford and Havelock. You set the tone about what that needs to be, right? And that's ideally what we want to do as well. We will as well. One of the things we're going to try to do is build housing to accommodate nursing students. One of the things that we've heard is that from the colleges and universities around here, we're not that far away from Peterborough, but if they're coming out for a 2 or 3 week placement, how can they maybe come out and stay at our place that way? So do that, do it to accommodate the doctors that may be here, the specialists visiting, etc. All our emergency department physicians come from out of town as well. So as I said to Jim Curl, this is a long-term vision of something that we want to try and achieve, and some of it will be achieved earlier than other ones. We put up the sign, as somebody said when I showed it to the Ministry of Health. They said, "How come it's not blue and white?" Which is the typical sign that you get when you get an approved government project. And I said, "That's why, because it's not an approved government project yet. So I can use whatever colors I want, and I like yellow and red." When you guys approve it, then we'll put up a blue and white sign. But until that time, it's not going to be blue and white. So that's right on the land, right there now. So where are we at then? As I mentioned as well, we've had great support from the 12 local municipalities. We did meet with the Minister of Health and Minister of Long-Term Care, and as your mayor noted to me, it said that 15 minutes doesn't give you an awful lot of time, and it certainly doesn't, right? I can't believe it. In the 15 minutes, look, Minister of Long-Term Care was fine. They were on board. They agreed. They 100% there. But I got to tell you, when the 15 minutes are up, when the Minister of Long-Term Minister of Health, it's kind of like, you got 1 minute left. Okay, okay. My last question I had, I said, Minister of Health, would you please come for a visit up to Campbellford so you can see how bad it was? And her response was, as soon as David Piccini invites me, I'll be glad to try to schedule it out. We have not yet received the support from them, but what I did hear though from the Roma conference afterwards was that we went in with Mayor Bob Crate, the deputy mayor from Campbellford. We had Rick Brise, the MPP from Marmor Madoc, etc., plus David Piccini, and then myself and a couple of board members. And they said that we went in very clear asking for this planning grant to make sure we can plan to build the new hospital. And they said that was very well received in terms of the amount of support that we have. But we still need the final push to get this planning grant approved, so that we can say, okay, you want to have a 50-bed hospital. What are the elements of it, and can we move to that next step? And so that's the part where we are at right now to get that part to fruition. So maybe what I'll do is I'll ask Marg to come up and talk a little bit about why it's important to this particular area and a few things that maybe the board has discussed as well.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come talk to you. A little bit of history for me. My father has been on the lake since 1928. So, there's deep roots there. And I never really gave it much thought until I was on the board, which I joined in June of last year, as to the importance of Campbellford Memorial Hospital. It was always there. So I never really thought about it or understood how things are different for a rural hospital and how important it is as a healthcare hub for this area. We are close to Peterborough. A lot of people here do go to Peterborough, but the reality is if you need to get to a hospital in a hurry, it's Campbellford you're going to. And I think for the constituency that we have here, we have to look at the demographics. We have to recognize that, our population is getting older, and we need to also look at the building of your long-term or our long-term care home and recognize that needs the adjunct of a strong hospital, which is Campbellford. So it really goes and dovetails with what Eric was talking about in terms of the redevelopment. And really it comes down to, we have a fabulous staff. We have a fabulous, opportunity in terms of redevelopment. We just underwent accreditation in December, and we achieved exemplary status despite all of the challenges that we have in the building and the patients that we serve and the clients that we serve. Our staff managed to meet almost 99% or exceed the standards within the accreditation process. And that is absolutely amazing. And it really is a testament to how much the staff believe in the organization. And really it's time. We need to get a new hospital, and we need to get it going, because it needs to be there as our population ages. So at this point, we really need your support. We need your support to talk to Dave Smith and really get him on board. I know he has different focus because his main constituency is Peterborough and there's a hospital there, but he needs to recognize that, you know, people in this area are his constituency too, and that he really needs to come forward and work with the other MPPs that are represented by the fact that Campbellford Memorial Hospital is sort of at the crux of 4 different ridings, and Peterborough is one of those ridings, and we need his support as well. So that is what we're looking for, is the support of council, and ultimately we'll be looking for the support of the community. And I know that the community's been really good in the past about stepping up and supporting financially the hospital, and I don't see that being any different as we move forward with this.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, Mark, your dad, he was a familiar face around here when I first got on council. He was always involved in everything. So,
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's something we can do as far as it's nice that you're not asking for money yet. You're there, but as far as helping and reach out to Dave Smith, I'm sure we could write a letter to Dave Smith. I talk to him every other week for meetings, and I can explain to him where we're at, but he's been a great help with our long-term care. And I think we've all worked together over the past few years as far as whether it's Campbellford or Havelock, long-term care has been a big topic here, and the hospital, we've always recognized it as our hospital, more so than Peterborough even, and the past council supported Campbellford Hospital whatever way we could. So anyway, I'll open it up to council if they have any questions, but moving forward, I'm sure we should be able to, maybe we can get a motion today that we write a letter to Dave Smith and look for, you know, that we'll all work together no matter what the boundaries are. So
Good again today. First of all, Campbellford Hospital is our hospital. My mom, they were amazing to her. Ended up having to stay there for a few weeks, so she went to nursing. Will Burn close after, like the old one will close eventually?
Yes.
When this new one opens up?
One of the reasons why is that it's not sprinklered. And so unless they put, you know, $500,000 into sprinklers, which I don't think they want to do, then they will have to close it.
Yeah. So I'm one of your biggest supporters. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to Eric and Mark for the presentation. So the one question I had is early on in the presentation, Eric, you put up a slide that said that approximately 15% of people were turned away.
Not turned away, they left.
Or left. What,
Yes.
But you said the provincial average was
About 8.
8.
Yep.
Is that a urban rural thing? Like it? No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
Yep.
A number of different reasons for it, right? I mean, sometimes you've got people in there, it's a Saturday and they need to have their prescription refilled. I'll wait till Monday and I'll go see my family doctor. Sometimes it's people because, you know, they've been in there for 5 hours and we didn't do a good job and tell them that, you know, behind that door, 2 more ambulances just came in with people with cardiac arrest or multi-vehicle accident. So that's on us. We need to tell people that's why you're going to wait. Our wait times are not as long as when I used to work in Ottawa, the hospitals there, we were 22 hours now is what the wait time is now. And one of the hospitals I worked at, ours are 4 or 5 hours. That's it, like for the lowest level of acuity. But for some people, they're kind of used to just saying, oh, you know, I'm going to Campbellford Hospital, I'll be in about an hour and a half. No. The people's conditions are that much more complicated, right? And require more tests and workup, et cetera. And so they get frustrated and they leave. So we will look at some of the renovations when I mentioned about, heard about doing the extra $15 million. We want to improve the mental health room. We want to put in a negative pressure room. We want to add another process to allow people to go in and get treated and then have, while they're waiting for their lab results, get out of the examination room and then go sit in another room where we have people waiting. So free up that capacity to allow that greater flow.
Great. Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay,
On a motion.
yeah, motion for the regular David Smith.
Yep.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councillor Doherty, all in favor. And that's carried, so.
Thank you very much.
That's very appreciated.
Okay, we'll move into the next delegation here is Sonia Fazari.
Oh.
Sonia?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Super. Well, just want to thank the mayor and council members for the opportunity this morning to allow myself and my colleague Ian. Before we get going, I'll just briefly introduce myself. Sonia Fazari, I'm the Senior Advisor, Municipal Stakeholder Engagement for Enbridge Gas. And joining me is my colleague Ian. Over to you, Ian.
Morning. Kind of enjoyed that presentation. Thanks for bringing us in. I've spent some time at Campbellford Hospital, unfortunately, as a young guy up in our cottage in Cashabog Lake. So familiar with their emergency room, unfortunately. So I'm the operations manager for Durham and the Kawarthas. So I've been with Enbridge going on 30 years now. Started out as a technician and progressed into some supervisory and training roles, and then now I'm the operations manager looking after the distribution system in both Durham and the Kawarthas. So happy to be here today and talk to you folks about our franchise agreement renewal that's coming up. So we go ahead a slide. Great. So we've been in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen since '58. So long history there. Service about 646 customers and pay to the municipality about $16,400 in taxes every year. We operate about 21 kilometers of pipe, basically coming up County Road 30 across the old Norwood Road and then snaking its way up to Highway 7 and going to the east edge of town. And the reason we're here today is towards the end of May there, our current franchise agreement with the township does expire, and we're hoping to have that renewed, and that's why we're here today.
Mhm.
Slide.
Perfect. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to walk you through in terms of what is a franchise agreement. And so basically it's simply put, it's an agreement between the municipality that wants a gas distribution system installed, maintained, and operated within its boundaries, and a natural gas distributor that actually wants us to provide that service. So we've been servicing the municipality for a number of years, as Ian indicated, and franchise renewals are typically, well, they're 20 years. And so the 20-year mark has come up, and we're now here to present and ensure that in hopes that the franchise renewal will be fully executed again, so we can continue the long-term relationship with the municipality. We currently have, we service about 312 lower single-tier municipalities that have adopted the 2000 model franchise agreement, as well as 26 upper municipalities. So in short, every municipality that we service is, we do have an agreement, and it's the same agreement that we have with all municipalities that we service natural gas with. And it's the 2000 model franchise agreement that we use. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I also want to mention CPCN. So basically, a certificate of public convenience and necessity is granted by the OEB, and it gives Enbridge Gas the right to construct and to supply gas within the municipality. And so it's really important that we have the CPCN. This means that if we don't have a CPCN, let's say outside our boundaries where we currently give natural gas and the OEB has not given us the CPCN, we are not allowed just to go in and install pipeline. So there's a very rigorous regulatory process that we must follow and abide by. And so, having the CPCN within the boundaries of the municipality gives us the opportunity and the right to continue maintaining and operating the pipeline, which is why Ian is so critical to being here as the operations manager. It's him and his team that are accountable for ensuring the safety of the community when it comes to natural gas and maintaining those pipelines that we have. Next. Yeah. So real quick, I'll just sort of walk you through exactly what the process is for a franchise renewal. And typically, so I'll start off by saying, you know, we currently have, again, about 340 franchise agreements in place with every single one of them, again, is the model franchise agreement that the OEB has approved for us to use in every municipality across Ontario. And so the process is, once we get the bylaw and council resolution passed to enter into a franchise agreement, that really is the first step. And this is why we're here today, to, you know, in hopes that we can get the council resolution passed as well as first and second bylaw. So once first and second reading is passed, we then, I work very closely with Bob and Bianca in the clerk's department. And we get that paperwork, and we'll take that information and we'll make an application to the OEB for approval for the franchise agreement. Once the OEB receives that paperwork, the OEB will then post a notice in the local newspaper within your municipality, giving everyone a couple of weeks to comment and ask questions about that application. And once that notice hasn't expired, the board deliberates and approves the application and then issues a decision and an order. So once we get that paperwork back from the OEB, we then go back, I'll go back to Bob and I'll say, you know, Bob, here's the paperwork from the OEB, approving to renew the franchise. And then basically we'll go back and we'll put it through bylaw through third and final reading to execute the franchise agreement. Once council decides, or I should say, once the municipality executes the bylaw agreement, then we execute it on our end as well. And a copy of the fully executed agreement goes back to the OEB. And now we have a franchise agreement in place for the next 20 years. So in short, that essentially is the process that we follow. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I won't read line by line here, but it's typically continuation of the process, the regulatory process that we must follow. But here on the right-hand side is an example of what the newspaper ad looks like, or that the OEB posts in the local paper. I think next slide, please. Oh, so that's it. So it's a very simple procedural process, but it's one that we must follow because we are regulated and directed by the OEB to work closely with council to renew the franchise.
All right,
so
thank you.
Yeah, so that really wraps up our presentation, but happy to take on any questions.
Well, the question we get every year is, do you have any plans for expansion around the community at all in the future or near future?
Nothing immediately planned. You know, we'll service any customers that apply for gas that are on main. You know, if they're currently using another source of heat, there's nothing, no expansion, I guess you could say, of the existing network. But if there is, encourage residents to apply, and if there is opportunities to do small extensions in the main, you know, as long as it's feasible for both parties, we try and do that.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll open up to council if you have any questions for Enbridge. Other than that, I would take a motion here, whether to extend the or to renew the contract. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Flagler. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. So we'll deal with the bylaw later, but thank you for your presentation today.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and it's a real pleasure to be here this morning, and have a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Great, then. So we'll move into our next delegation here. Lisa Howie and Irene Goff are here today with the Cordova Rec Association. Welcome.
Thank you. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Have I got a loud enough voice?
Yeah.
My husband and my dad say I'm too soft spoken, but I think it's because they're hard of hearing, but So thank you very much for allowing us to make our presentation today. My name is Lisa Howie and this is Irene Goff. I'll start with a quick brief history of Cordova. Like most mining communities, Cordova was officially dry, but legend has it there was a mobile saloon on the north road of Cordova. On the east side is Peterborough County and on the west side is Hastings County. Word traveled fast, and whenever the authorities approached, the saloon was wheeled to the other side of the road. Slide 3. In 1998, the Cordova Mines Association became, oh, did I skip one? Sorry, slide 2. You can just read.
Left-hand button.
Yeah, did I miss one?
There you go.
Okay. J.C. Hamilton was actually my grandfather, my dad's father, that donated the property where the rink is now. Try to go through this as quickly as I can. Did I click it yet? Go back. Sorry. I guess everybody's had a chance to read this over anyways, right? Do I have to read it all? Cordova is one of the largest populated communities outside of Havelock. When combined with seasonal residents from nearby Belmont and Cordova Lakes, Cordova community contributes significantly to the Havelock tax base. And not to sound too political, but a lot of votes are in the Cordova area. We have a constitution and elected board of directors supported by volunteers, Amanda Maloney chair, Irene secretary, myself treasurer, Megan Haynes director, and Dee Hamilton director. Our aims and objectives. The aims and objectives are to promote and support activity that enhance the quality of life in the Cordova community, promote community awareness and pride, and encourage the participation of residents in the association and its community projects and events. Identify community needs and consult with the appropriate bodies to promote the development of services, programs, projects, and events to meet the identified community needs. The board members are all new. We were elected in November and are working hard to get things in order. We see the association being able to do more than just charity work. We wish to be a voice and advocate for the residents of Cordova on issues that are important to them. And in order to succeed, we wish to develop a good relationship with council members. On that note, we looked at the community improvement plan. Cordova is mentioned a couple times in passing, but is essentially an improvement plan for Havelock. We are a big part of the Havelock-Belmont-Methuen community and feel council should revisit the plan and consider doing more in Cordova. Should you do so, we would ask that we be included in the discussion on review process. This is what we do. This is a very short list. The situation over the last 2 or 3 years has limited our efforts. We intend to improve this going forward. A good example is the Cordova Santa Claus Parade. This was our first event as the new group, and it was a great success thanks to our many volunteers. Not having any history, we ordered too many candies for the kids, but we put them to good use by donating them to the Marmer Retirement Home and nursing homes, or nursing home. I invite you to check out our website. And our new logo is the iron ore Cordova Mines with the heart of gold. Also, please follow us on Facebook. In less than 2 months, we have grown to nearly 150 followers. During that same period, we had thousands of engagements, so we are getting the word out. HBM website, community agency and resources. Could we be added to the site? We are now. Right?
Yeah,
We're on. Yeah, that's what I thought. Operating income. Dinners have been the main source of revenue over the past few years. Well, not few years prior to COVID. We reduced much of our expenses by volunteers donating food. We hope to increase revenue from hall rentals with increased awareness. We are also always happy to receive donations or funding. Major expenses we pay are insurance and utilities, regardless if the hall is being used. So we hope to increase use of the hall, even if it does not generate revenue. Example is having exercise classes, open mic, seniors dinners, etc. Our goal is to increase our fundraising so that we can increase our donations to others. We believe it is good means to increase awareness and support. Any assistance HBM can provide to defer costs will help us to be able to do more for the community. This is just a brief outline. There's other things that we've added since then, but this is our plans for this year. We've been busy. But we have a great bunch of young families and a lot of volunteers, and it's working out really good for us. This is some of the complimentary things that we want to be able to do and events that we want to host. Believe it or not, there are many people in Havelock and Marmor that do not know much about Cordova. We have many residents and volunteers who have a lot of pride for Cordova, and we aim to increase people's awareness going forward. Where is them? Okay, the rink in Cordova is in poor condition, to say the least. In fact, the condition of the boards could be a danger and risk to public. HBM's own capital assessment rates rinks as 22% or poor. Our vision is for the outdoor rink to become a weekend destination for residents and visitors. Why not have minor hockey games played in Cordova? If a new surface was done, it could be used during the summer for pickleball. It is becoming one of the fastest growing sports. We think it would be utilized by residents and cottagers in the area. In order to put the rink back in order, it needs a new concrete surface and boards, build some benches for people to put their skates on, bleachers, and a change room with washroom facilities. Oh, we missed something here. Well, maybe not. This is continued. Some of the concerns with the community center that we have right now, going forward, is Wi-Fi. Irene can vouch for this because a lot of people now, they don't carry cash, right? So if you have a vendor's event, everybody wants to use cards. So there's no Wi-Fi. When the library's closed, then we have no Wi-Fi access to do the transactions that we need to do for people that don't have cash. The gazebo currently out in the park is unsafe. Larry's notes here, it probably needs to be taken down. Currently, a small sign that says community hall is not visible, and we had to put up a temporary sign directing people to the hall. Perfect location is on the north side of County Road 48, west of the mailboxes. It should have direction arrows to the community center and a board for announcements. Outdoor stage would be great to have outside at the back of the hall for our outdoor events. Currently, we have to run extension cords to make a makeshift stage, so wiring would be a great asset for us there. Picnic tables, we have 2 old picnic tables, but no benches next to the playgrounds. And we need more space to locate a stage, picnic table area, and to host event activities. That's about all I have. There's a few housekeeping things that we would like to discuss, but maybe we'll just do that at a later time with Sherry and Ryan, right? We don't want to take up all your time. Thank you very much for your time. We just wanted to let everybody know who we are and what we're all about and how we're doing our best to keep busy in Cordova.
Well, it was a great report. I've been going to a lot of meetings up there over the years since I've been on council, and I learned a lot, even just in some of the history there that you had in your report. So moving forward, you know, we've always had a good relationship with previous committee, and I'm sure it'll continue with the new committee. And there's lots of good information here that we can work towards, you know, in the future. That rink up there, we got a lot of money into it. That's really the Havelock outdoor rink that's it. The other one is new to the area, and but that one there, we've put a lot into it, and we need to bring it back to where it was. So I'll open it up to council. If you have any questions for the girls, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's always nice to know what's going on in Cordova. One thing I was going to ask about was, now I forgot.
How did
Been
that happen?
complete, I don't know, done things in 2 days. Go ahead, Kathy.
To one of your meetings, you guys are doing an incredible job of bringing things back around. That gazebo has to go, like, when we did our church, it's a safety hazard, yeah, so.
I think a stage, a covered stage is the way we need to go.
Is it?
The gazebo was nice when
And it was pretty small, actually, when I looked at
we
it.
did have music in the gazebo in the past there. That's what we did. We had the Irelands and my dad, whatever, anybody that wanted to sing, would sing out in the gazebo. But yeah, if it has to go, it has to go. But a covered stage is probably something we should put our,
Because is that gazebo sitting, like, we're talking about the one right behind the community center?
yeah, in the.
Is it sitting on an old well or something? We don't know.
I know.
Okay.
No.
I don't know, but anyways, it's pretty rickety. I mean, you could give it a good shove and it'd be down.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's
yeah,
something we can work at demolishing that. Yeah.
So, you've had a lot of things coming up.
We do have a lot of things coming up. We're gonna be
Very,
busy.
very well done. Kudos to you.
And Larry mentioned in one of his presentations about our $6,000 that we had in January. We've pretty much doubled that.
Good for you.
So,
Well
so
done.
we are very active, very busy, and we're doing well.
You know, the other thing I thought too, have you thought about doing like a blood pressure clinic for your seniors out there?
Yeah, I know, like, we're gonna have a food,
I saw your
senior
senior
server, we're
server.
gonna do first food servers, what do you call that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Food handler
Food handler.
in June.
Food handlers course, yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna come out hopefully and
First
Good
week we
course.
did is June, so we're gonna be doing things like that.
we are open to new ideas and stuff like that. So some of the events will bring in revenue, but some of them will basically be giving back to the community, like for the exercise class. It's for the community, right? So they can come. And we've had a lot of really great response from people that didn't know where Cordova was or the things that we're doing in the community and stuff. We did the chili thing and it was so successful. And there was like 74 people attend.
That was our first real event.
Yeah.
Cook-off, and it was a great success. And now I think the next one, the St. Patty's Day dinner is pretty much sold out too, so.
Yeah. And then family day will be like a full, just a couple of hours where we're donating like a pancake breakfast and there's lots of activities for the kids and stuff. And we rely on volunteers just to their time and a lot of product and stuff like that. So it's really great to give back, I think, to the community. And there's lots of families who are like,
We're doing Easter and we're doing like for the kids and we do Halloween for the kids too. So it's not all about just dinners and we're doing things for the kids for free too.
Yeah.
So Easter activities,
Very good.
Halloween party was great success.
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, Jared?
How many days of the year is the hall booked or used roughly?
It's starting to pick up. We just now with the website have the rental agreement in place and just Thursday night, we decided what our rates are gonna be. And just so council knows, is it gonna be anybody able to rent the hall and have their own bar? That won't be an issue, like for insurance reasons and for fundraising reasons, our association will be the only ones that will operate anything like that, but we're renting it out for birthday parties and for any events that anybody wants to rent half day or full day, but there will be no rentals for people to come in and have a stag or a wedding or something and do their own thing. It's gonna be under our umbrella, under our insurance,
Yeah, so the members will basically operate the bar.
and
So we'll provide just like the Lions do. So they provide their own bartenders and, so
Insurance.
controlled, which makes it, I think, easier. And all the alcohol events will have to be approved by all the council, like for the members and stuff. It just won't be free for all. So there are, I think, 3 bookings right now that are here. And so it's a early stages right now. So,
Dee said last night that she had several more that she had to go through, so.
yeah.
They're picking up with the hall rentals,
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Okay,
remember?
I remember. Sorry, Lisa, you referenced the CIP earlier in terms of maybe if we had it in Cordova, it would help. So just to let you know, we are in the process of expanding it to the whole township.
What's that, sorry,
The community improvement
Okay,
plan.
yes, sorry.
So
Yeah, yeah, wasn't-
hopefully here within a month or two, we're just waiting for the planner to give us,
Awesome.
Perfect.
finalize that for us and be brought to council and hopefully approved. So going forward this summer now, that's more of a private thing. I don't know, maybe in terms of working with the rec association, we can, go about it maybe in a little bit different way, but I mean, that money hopefully should be available to other members of the community, hopefully come springtime, so.
Sure. And the other thing too is we have our meetings the first Thursday of the month at 7 at the hall. So if anybody from the council would like to come, or even, you know, members of the community, we're always open to just come. If you want to be on the agenda, then you have to like obviously be approved and stuff, not approved, but put on the agenda to speak and stuff like that. So
it might be worth, you know, getting our email addresses and sending those out, just so I hate telling them to look at the website. Jerry?
breaks.
So yeah, you can,
Sure.
I just, we have a lot of meetings that we go to, so if we could.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
Give us a reminder that it's on, it's, you know, it's a good thing to.
Somebody Havelock's the first Thursday of the month, just so you know, there might be some conflicts for members, just so.
Yeah. So, okay, well, thank you very much for the.
Thank you.
All for your time.
All right, a motion to receive the delegation. Moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded by Councillor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. So I'm gonna look for a 5-minute recess here before we go into the staff reports for information. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll take a motion to take a 5-minute recess. Councillor Webb, or Deputy Mayor Webb and Councillor Doherty, all in favor, and that's carried. All right. Okay, so welcome back. We'll take a motion to resume from recess. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, and I do have one thing here. I need a motion to defer item 4 and 5 on the staff report and the bylaw number 2. Travis isn't in today, so we'll deal with that at the next meeting. So moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councillor Flagler, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so we have 2 staff reports for information here. There's no questions. I'll take a motion to receive those for information only. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so we're gonna move into staff reports with follow-up action, and the board here is Peter Lawson, Manager of Public Works for Ministry of Transportation and Connecting Link. Welcome, Peter.
Yes, good morning, Mayor Martin and members of council. The purpose of this report is to provide council with details regarding the submission of a grant application for the Ministry of Transportation regarding the Connecting Link program for 2023-2024. The recommendation that council approve the township's portion of 10%, $50,000 of the eligible cost for the grant submission regarding the Connecting Link programs in 2023-2024. The requested provincial funding portion for the grant submission is to a maximum of 9%, $450,000 for a total submission of $500,000.
Straightforward here. Any questions for Peter around that? And none, the motion will be that we approve the 10%.
That's correct, Mayor Martin.
50.
For $50,000. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Clements, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, it's always good when you can get a grant. That's one of those things. Connecting Link is one of those things that unfortunately we have to pay for that section of highway, and some don't. But, anyways, okay, the next report here is again Public Works with a water hookup.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, this is the purpose of the report is to seek council's approval to connect the Havelock water system. Recommendation that council approve the connection to the Havelock water system for concession 9 part lot 6 on the old Norwood Road. All costs associated with the connections will be at the property owner's expense, and the work will be inspected to ensure it meets with current regulations.
Okay. Yeah.
So is this for someone building and they just want to connect to our?
This is for the, through you, Mayor Martin. Yes, this is for the property owner that is proposing to build a.
So he just wants to connect to our existing facilities alongside the road.
That's correct. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, any other questions?
No.
Motion to approve that. Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, the next item here is the interim bylaw for the billing case. Lionel, welcome. Sure. So your report here is that establish the dates for the interim tax for this year. So, is there any questions for Lionel around that or not? I'll take a motion that we approve the recommendation here.
Yeah.
Moved by Councillor Doherty, seconder. Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor? That's carried. Steve, that was easy, yeah? Yeah. Okay, the next item here is the report for building department. Number 6. Or sorry, I'm skipping over that here. Number 6 here, Sherry, Economic Development Officer, the Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. Yeah, this is. Okay, this one? Oh. Okay. All right, Sherry, so you have a report here with regards to the pumpkin.
The request is that we continue to support the pumpkin parade into the fall season of 2023.
Okay, and this is with HBM Proud and
We partnered, I've worked with Amanda O'Rourke from my organization. And we had about a week and a half to plan that event, but of course, we think we'd be able to build a much more visitor-friendly tourism event in the fall.
so hopefully this will be tied into some of the other things with HBM Proud that we're looking for as far as their financials and things like that. We'll need to know more information, I think, in the future, but Art, you had something?
Yeah, no, it seems, as I said, it's been really well received and really good numbers here in terms of turnout. So, yeah, I'd like to see us support it going forward. As well, it's nice to see them using the massive property that we're trying to publicize that we're fixing up. So I'll make that motion that we support.
Okay. All right.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Any cost involved for us?
Through you, Mayor Martin, there are no direct costs from the township. It's in-kind service in terms of my time working with Amanda and developing a communication and executing on the communication strategy. And there is some in-kind resources needed from the Parks Rec and Facilities Manager or members of his staff. But they're certainly low numbers. I think we included some of that reference. So I think.
You have a mover for seconder for this to support it. Okay, Councilor Flagler supporting it. Any other questions around it then?
That's just the pumpkin one, because I have one on the social
Yeah.
media insights after. Is that one two part of it?
Weird.
What's that? Just for the pumpkin event. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just for that one right now. Okay, all in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Okay, the next item we have on here is the deposit return. Is that?
No, it was the social media insight that Sherry provided us with some reaches and engagement.
Okay.
We seem to have some spikes at various days. What caused the spike? Is there a particular announcement? Is it a particular day relative to something?
When it spikes, you'll see on the last page, it's typically around hiring. So if we have a job posting, it's oftentimes you'll see it shared 30 plus times, and that will, of course, throw your engagement. And it's events. So they are typically local events. Those that sort of, whether it's the pumpkin parade, which is a big one around the holidays, and supporting some of our local Christmas markets. They were a big part of our economic development strategy this past. And you can see the numbers reflect that.
Yeah, so the reach is when people access the website.
Our reach is all of those that follow us. We're roughly 1,900 where we sit today. And that's who we communicate with. And then, of course, when they share it, your reach then measured exponentially, which we're not able to report.
Thank you.
Okay. So, all right then. So we'll move on to next item on here is the deposit return programs that we did at the fixed line transfer station. It's been going for over a year now, and the Lions were doing it for this past year. And the whole idea of it when the previous council set this up is it would be renewed after a year. And we would give others an opportunity to bid on taking care of the deposit returns. So the recommendation here is that staff is directed to proceed with placing an advertisement seeking a community partner for the deposit return program and see what kind of interest we get. So it's a fundraiser that, you know, there's lots of people that might be interested in something like that, whether it's, you know, there's lots of organizations that could use a little boost. So
you're hoping everyone like the skating club, the Boy Scouts. it doesn't
yeah, like
matter.
any applications will come in, whether it's the Legion, seniors,
Started with the figure skating club, didn't it? Or
yeah, they
skating
started it.
club, and then the Lions have taken it over since then. So yeah,
Okay.
we're looking to roll into the
Yeah,
next community.
Yeah,
group,
Steve
right, whoever.
Peterson, whatever. anyone-
Whoever, we'll take the
Those are-
applications and
And is it a non-profit organization that applies?
that's what I think the idea was.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. So just to recap, the Lions Club agreement has expired at the end of December. So it is intended for nonprofit community groups. So if we put the advertisement out, we'll see what kind of interest we get, and council will determine who will partner with us with the agreement for this year.
And the Lions may put their name in again, that's,
Correct.
you know, but then we'll go through the applications and see what we can do to help somebody, so.
And through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify, the report does indicate that the Lions, there was proceeds of approximately $3,100 received by the Lions. We have since received an updated report, and there was an additional approximately $1,800 that were received in funds.
Wow,
And that takes it to the end of the year, 2022.
Very good.
it is. good.
Yeah, they did a great job and like it was kind of a, you know, I'm sure they had things that could have been better over there as far as for us helping them, but I think it was a great start and, you know, hopefully we can continue it.
The
So,
work in progress.
yeah, so I'll look for a motion to go with the recommendation of advertising. Moved by Councillor Clement, seconder. Anybody want to second that? Councillor Flagler?
Yeah.
All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item on here is the donation for the festival, the Fire and Ice Festival. With regards to the fireworks, for that evening, so. I have a couple thoughts here as far as. I know we have a motion later in the on the agenda.
Through you, Mayor Martin, if I may, just by way of explanation, there was a presentation in closed session on January 17th from HBM Proud or organizers of the Fire and Ice Festival. There was a request for donations. Council had indicated support for a financial donation of $5,000. Since that time, we've been informed that a direct financial contribution does not comply with the requirements of the grant that has been applied for. Therefore, the donation would be in the form of direct purchase of fireworks.
So the grant is with the chamber, so that's how that's who we were speaking to along with Fire and Ice, so moving forward, the way it would work is that we would supply the fireworks for the event, so you know, it's something we've done in the past, and
So who will look after the fireworks, HBM Proud or one of our municipal workers?
usually the fire chief does. I don't have that right now. He's the one that orders them, but
Through you, Mayor Martin, Fire Chief will purchase the fireworks. It is the same supplier that we typically use for Canada Day. So the Fire Chief will purchase the fireworks. And it may not be the fire department who's actually managing the fireworks display. However, it is a licensed person doing that.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about insurance.
yeah, it would have to be a
Liability?
licensed person, so.
Right.
Okay. So recommendation there, Steph, go ahead.
Through your, Mayor Martin, has the, insurance been provided by Fire and Ice? Because that was one of the stipulations that we had to produce proof of insurance to ensure that Havelock can.
That will be for the event itself. We will have to have proof of insurance and all the other things that we require. Yeah,
And the what? And the, yeah,
Yeah.
like that was one of the stipulations.
for the event itself, we
For
will
the
need that
event.
before it can go ahead.
That's right.
This motion here would be just for supplying the fireworks for the evening.
So through you, Mayor Martin, there is a notice of motion later in the meeting,
Mhm.
as put forth by Councillor Clement, which deals with this matter. The motion can be amended to revise the direct financial donation to the purchase of fireworks, if council so desires.
Okay, so we can deal with that with the notice of motion and that part of it.
So this is just strictly for the fireworks.
This is just the fireworks right now, that whether we supply them. Yeah. So, and the motion later can have that wording added in there to make sure everything's covered as far as insurance and.
Yes, because I'm quite concerned about insurance and
Yeah.
liability for the township
Yeah,
before fireworks.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
what matters.
so. Yeah.
So you're right, Mayor, the $5,000 is for fireworks, so it's up to 5, so we're buying it, so we would just pay the invoice and whatever's left over is left over.
Correct, $5,000 including taxes.
Yeah, is the max, correct.
Okay, so. Deputy Mayor Lett, you're moving that? Okay, do I have a seconder for that?
I will.
Mr. Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried, all right, then. Okay, we'll move into the next item here is the Lions Club lease agreement. And this has been around for a long time. And so it's, the recommendation is council direction, and I might suggest here, the previous council spent a lot of time on this. There is an agreement here, but if the new council feels more comfortable, we can arrange a meeting with the Lions and go over this agreement face to face, and so you can understand it better, and maybe we can get it moving that way. So it's totally up to you. You can either just send this back to them, or we can arrange a meeting with them ASAP and try and get this thing dealt with, and then maybe both sides. I think there's been some changes over there too, so between the two sides, everybody will understand it completely, and sometimes face to face makes that better. So so it's up to you. If you would like to make a motion that we arrange for a meeting with the Lions Club to go over the lease agreement.
I'll make that.
Okay, moved by Councillor Flagler and seconded by Councillor Clement. Any other questions around that? Okay, so we'll, that's with the direction to staff to maybe make arrangements for a meeting.
So we'll take a vote, Mayor Martin.
Okay, all in favor? And that's carried. Yep. Okay. Right, and that ends the staff reports. We'll move into correspondence and action items here. And just let me catch up here, but the first item here is with the Legion. And they sent us a letter with regards to looking for some help with their building over there. So we've all read that. I would suggest that we maybe defer this to the Economic Development Committee and the CIP that Deputy Mayor Webb was talking about earlier. There might be some opportunity to help them within that CIP, the Community Improvement Project. If not, it's on the radar now, and we can look at budget if there's anything. It's one of those things. We have helped others in whatever way we can, and you know, there might be an opportunity through one of the programs that we have existing that we could help them with the paint. I think they're looking at trying to get the paint, the other side of the building looking better, and the one thing in the CIP is facade improvements. So there might be an opportunity within that to help them with that. So so I think the motion would be to send this to Economic Development and let them look at it, to the committee, to see if there's something that can be done to help them. Yeah. Okay. So there was a motion with regards to that would help here. Go ahead.
So Going forward, could we maybe just at some point have a brief overview of the CIP plan? Because I'm not sure I'm familiar with what's involved and how much and that kind of thing, so
Yeah.
that'd be a good
Yeah,
learning,
it's on the website.
is it?
Oh, there.
Okay,
Yeah, I think Jerry's read it on the website, but yeah.
okay, all right,
Yes.
fair enough,
Anytime you do that,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, all right,
Okay.
fair enough, thanks.
So the
I
part
agree, though, we should have a presentation
Yeah.
on it as well,
Well,
because there's more to it than just the width, so.
So and that would be something maybe at the next economic development meeting, we could have a presentation within the economic development. Do you have new members? Like, yeah, so
Two members.
so it might not hurt anyways, and then maybe you know. Art can reach out to the council too, when that's gonna be happening and.
It'll be, I'll check it, maybe February 10th, next meeting.
It's just nice that if we know if someone comes to us and asks about them, because at this point, I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
So.
And typically, how long does it take on one of these grants, if it's applicable, does it take a
If they
long?
apply to us.
Yeah. Typically,
Depending on how quick staff looks at it, but
Yeah.
I'd say typically no longer than probably 2 months, maybe more like a month.
It would also depend on the complexity of the.
Well,
program,
and that's, yeah,
what the work is being done, so
Yeah.
it would depend.
so they would need to come with more.
well, that's, yeah, I think with
Information.
JD and Tanya, they, because you can use more than one, right?
Yeah.
There's eight elements there.
Mhm.
They used, I think, 4 or 5. But their construction was over, what, 6 months to a year, eh?
Right.
So I think they came and got 2. Came back and.
I'm just thinking of this
Yeah.
season when they would be painting it, but if we get, is it going to be possible?
Yeah, it's totally possible.
Possible,
Yep.
within that, it's not a 6-month period.
No.
And it's already within the town, so it's already covered under the CIP.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, there's some changes happening with the CIP, but that one's right in the village, so it's the new changes are gonna open it up for all of the township. Businesses, so or whatever, so. Anyway, so there's a good chance it'll fit in, but if we could have a motion that we send this to economic development and then maybe. Like I say, in the meantime, Hart can reach out to you when they're gonna do the presentation and you can see that presentation. It's really good and I have a video around somewhere when we first started it. So when JJ and Tanya were doing it, I'll see if I can find that and send it to you. So. Yeah,
So if for any reason they didn't get the grant, how much would they be looking for our support, in dollar figures?
well, that's what will probably happen is we would suggest to them that they
Come back
put the
with a
full
different case?
application into
Okay. Fair enough.
the economic development on, with numbers with it and how much they use. So-
Do they need an RFP for the CIP?
No, but
Or does it depend on which one you're applying?
well, else to look at the application, basically it's an application, I think it's matching dollars from above.
Through the application process, they would stipulate how much they need and they would provide background information.
So then they don't need a typical RFP then?
No,
No.
it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So. So a motion to send this over to economic development and start working on it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's move, yeah, like to load murder hard up. So that's moved by Councillor Clements and seconded by, Councillor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so the next item here is the CBCA draft budget. If you have a chance to look at it. We pay the bulk of the levy at the Crow. I did take on chair of the Crow this term. Or this time, so. I don't know what to think there, but it's gonna be a busy year. There's there's only 2 returning board members out of 10, so. And I'm already scheduled to go to Wallaston next week for a council meeting with regards to the budget. We can ask him to come down to speak to it if you have any questions for him directly. I can try and answer some of the things here. This budget to me, like I say, we pay $300,000. I don't get too wrapped up. I've told everyone over the years, don't get too wrapped up in the percentage. It's a 3% increase. 1% of our budget is around $70,000. 1% of the Crow is $7,000. So it's a $21,000 increase. They stripped the budget of a lot of, it was coming in at 30%, and which was, I forget the number, but there was some mapping and things that they wanted to put in there. Try and get it through, they took everything out. I think they took too much out. We've been through a lot of things over the years with them as far as vehicles, and that's one thing that they pulled out of there. Well, they need the vehicle to go around and to inspect the dams and things like that. Over the years, they go and buy used cars down in Sterling or whatever, and it's always been a kind of a thing. It's like, you know, they're just turning over way too much. And we had a program last term that they were gonna start similar to what the township does as far as building reserves to buy these vehicles. It seems like it's got pulled out here to try and get this through, but like I say, I do have concerns. I think they should have left the money in there for a reserve for a new vehicle. You can't operate without vehicles. You can do it with mileage, but that doesn't always work either. But so what we're looking at right now is a $21,000 increase to the levy in its whole, and we paid 39% of that. So it'll be circulating right now for 30 days to all of the municipalities involved. And this term, because of some of the changes that are happening with the provincial government around CAs, all of the members are members of council. That was one thing that they stipulated, that they wanted council members, because over the years, there's some that have a real small piece of the levy. It might be 1.5% or 5% or something like that. Like, it's really low. So they would just send representatives like appointments, where now it's all, in fact, I think there's 5 mayors on this thing right now. And it'll be interesting to see how this budget goes through, because there's a lot of upset up north as far as generic regulations. And they went through a tough time with COVID and staffing issues, and slowed the process so much that it stopped everything right up. And now they're dealing with it, and they have a plan in place to try and get through that. So one of the things for the increase was a new person for generic regulations to help. They pulled that out. That being said, I'm not totally against that, because with the economic downturn, the building might slow down and it might take care of itself anyways. Let's hope, as far as, I hope we don't run into another summer of what we had last year, because there was a lot of calls around things not getting done and held up at that level. We have a timeline in our building department to get things done. They were way outside. Some people were like 90 days. Some missed the whole building season. So anyways, that's the way they're presenting this budget, is they've taken everything out of there other than a little bit for cost of living for operations. But the capital is negative 25%, and the operating is plus 7.5%. So when you add it all up, it's $21,000. So a 2.9% increase.
Mr. Mayor, since we're putting 39% in, is this weighted like it is in the county?
No, that's a good question. Over the years, that's one of the things that we've been speaking to the province and different representatives around. It's really hard. Other than one little piece of the operating budget, it's weighted so Marmer and ourselves have in the past carried a vote there. I forget which piece it is, but it's such a small part of the budget that it really didn't do a lot. We carried it for a little while until we got our way, but the rest of it is a 1 vote per municipality. So we get the same vote as that person that's paying. It's just, that's a provincial thing, and we don't have a lot of say in it. So whether it gets dealt with the new guidelines that are coming out, I don't know. That part hasn't changed as of yet. So right now, we get one vote. So that being said, we've been good with the Crow over the years. It's a lot of it goes on assessment, and we have 10 lakes in our area. Some, when you hear of those low numbers, they may have a piece of a lake in their township that's our piece of the watershed. We have a good chunk of the watershed. So if you look at generic regulations, for instance, when you see the building permits going through, I kind of always watch the pie charts, and Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is close to 39 or 40% of the applications that are coming through for building are from Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. So we are that way getting our share as far as, you know, we're the busiest municipality in the CA. And if you look at the rest of them, lately it seems like Chandos is getting a lot of building permits up there, and that's where a lot of the excitement is as far as not getting things done. But they're not percentage wise, I think they're third or fourth on the list. Marmor Lake and ourselves are the biggest contributor to Pro Valley. So, but for now, like I say, this budget is, you know, it's bare bones, always is. I've seen it in times when they have to bring their own computers in because they don't have any money for that sort of things. But they've stripped it down. I am worried about it, but there's a number there to work with, and I think, you know, I don't see why it won't pass. But this is just for your reference there, and you can go through the thing to see what's there. And we'll send that over once. We'll see where it goes when the vote comes up. The meeting is on February 24th. I think that's when this will come back forward. I'm not sure if that's 30 days or not. I'll have to look. But anyways, this is just for you to review it and bring you up to speed on where it's at. So,
through you, Mayor. So in here where it says like the 2 floodplain mapping projects were removed, like is that not sort of a major item?
Yeah, like that's one of those things. So those are things that they look at the mapping, because it's such a huge area, and that's one of the biggest problems with the Crow is the population is here, but the area is here. So it's such a big area for them to look at. It might come time. A few years ago, we talked about amalgamating or merging with another CA. I did talk with Piccini. He's the MPP for this, and I said to him it might be time to start looking at that again. He seemed to like it. The minister for this is actually the mayor from Bracebridge, I think he was, that's on M&R now. And I'm looking forward to talking to him because he'll understand the other side of things as far as a municipality trying to carry a CA. When Ron was here, him and I worked on, and the council worked on trying to merge it with Quinty at the time, and it fell through. The members in there in favor of it. That being said, I'm seeing a different environment around the screen. It's on screen now. It hasn't been in person. There's a lot of people that are anxious to look at how we do business at the Crow, and maybe there's a better way of doing things. So, so we'll see where it goes. But for today's meeting, that's the budget there that I've been looking at and dealing with, and it gives you an idea where we're at. There's not too much in there. There's nothing extra in there. There's most of it's cost of living for some wages and things, but as far as any capital projects, like you say, Kathy, everything is stripped out of there, and it could be, hopefully it can come back. Last 2 years ago, we went to the ministry at Roma about getting more money from the province. About 2 months later, we used to get 120,000 every year for the past 15 years from the province. 2 months after that meeting, when we thought we did pretty good going to meet with the minister, they took 60,000 away. And what we're trying to say there is don't lump us in with Halton and those type of CAs that have golf courses and things like that. They want core, you get to the core values of the CA. We don't have any extras in the Crow Valley. We don't have golf courses and things like that. We look after water. That's all we're there for, is to manage the dams. And we have the gut up there is a parkland that was donated, and McGeechee and Callahan Rapids out here. We've been helping with the OTA as far as trying to manage that. But we had Trent Hills come in, I don't know how many years ago that was, to take over Pearl Bridge down here. So we got rid of that. They're managing that for us. And that's what I've been trying to say with some of these other municipalities. They need to take on some of these other things that are in their area, like the gut or whatever. And instead of us paying for a driveway into the gut, the municipalities that are in those areas need to look at it as economic development, and they should be taking that on, because it's a small part of their budget, you know, so. Anyways, for today, that's a long-winded, explanation of what the CVCA is. But, just to receive the, report here, and, I don't think do I need a motion to, go with this here, Bob, or?
Well, through you, Mayor Martin, I think, and I don't know if your board is gonna ask for a motion.
They might ask, so-
from HBM. They probably will.
Yeah, so if I could get a motion to support me with this, I would appreciate that. And like I say, there's nothing extra in here. If there was something more, you know, I would.
They took a lot of money out of reserve, didn't they, to?
Yeah.
To balance, this year's,
Yeah,
like, I mean, a lot.
it's scary because they don't have a lot of reserves. The one year, the only reserves they had was some money that we had put in there for legal, but anyways, that's so.
He moved.
Yeah, I need
And I seconded it with
Who
stipulation,
moved? Sorry, did somebody move? I didn't write it down.
Councilor Cameron.
Okay.
stipulation that we bring Tim in to explain to all of us, and especially the members, what's going on down there and why
Okay,
it's going
that's
on.
good.
Is that good?
That would be good. Okay. So,
We're gonna have to pay it anyways this year, so.
yeah, okay, so
We'll get
The amount,
we'll
the
get
amount,
it
right?
Month or two.
yeah. Okay, so moved by Kathy, seconded by Art. All in favor of that motion? And that's carried, so we'll speak to Tim and get him in to update you. Okay, the next item here is action item correspondence with school board election. I'm not sure. You know, somebody, so this is around getting the school board to run their own election. I'm sure Bob likes that idea. I don't know do you have anything to add to that, Bob?
No, it's very self-explanatory. Obviously, the townships love the idea, universally, that school boards would run their own elections. And we will see where that goes. It is a topic of discussion now, and as the Municipal Elections Act is reviewed, I think this will be definitely a topic on the agenda.
So would you like a motion to support? Do you think? a motion to support
Whatever
that?
council thinks, we can certainly support.
I don't know where it'll go, but we can.
Yeah,
support
it may not go anywhere, but
We can always support it, and if you think that would help with the, but I think I worry about it mucking up the process. It's already all over the place.
Yeah.
There's-
Well, I'm worried about the schools running anything. No, really, and then well, I'm just being honest. Give them control of their own elections, right, I don't know.
We don't have a member anyway. I think they've taken our representative.
Yeah, I'm just
away.
saying, they have enough control with what goes on there. I don't think they need to run their own elections. Just my own 2 cents.
So, yeah, so we can receive it and just take a motion to receive.
You guys can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's up to us, but I totally agree.
It's good to see both sides of the
Yeah.
story. It really is.
So it's either we can support or we can get a motion just to receive this.
Motion to receive.
Okay, moved by Councillor Doherty to receive this, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, then, so we only have one information item on, or no, sorry, Pat Patterson here with the Havelock Vintage Vehicle Club. So this was a request to run an event on the south side of 7, and so we would be one of the partners in this thing as far as, but it mainly would be CP and the Lions, because it's the Lions Park, but we can, so if we support this, I'm sure it goes a long way. So with the council thought, motion to support.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to support this event. Do we have a date?
yeah.
That was my ad.
No, the other thing that we'd like to ask is, we're going to form a committee and we'd like to meet probably once a month up in the town hall.
Right.
And if that's suitable to the council. And then we'll get back to you with, I'll have a lot more information, but right now it looks like we've got about 50 applicants, so it's looking pretty good. And we'll have a sketch made up of how this is going to work across the road, and we're thinking of probably it would be on a full day Saturday. And we're hoping to make it really work, so. I think we'll have, the other time we had it before, we just couldn't get enough volunteers, but this time it looks pretty good, so I'm pretty enthused.
So that's good news, and I think moving forward, like as far as supplying the hall, we get those requests all the time, but I do know in the future. We will be making and it comes from the last term of council as far as a grant, some sort of, that could be tied into the grant when we start donating the halls all the time. There is a cost to that as far as, but it's just a paper trail, but that could be tied in with the grant application or whatever, and a policy that we're gonna have in the future. That could be a while out, but it is something that we are gonna develop over this year. As far as a grant policy, and that meetings could be tied into that as far as putting a cost to it. Doesn't mean we're gonna charge, but we have to put a number with it, so.
Yeah, we're also looking right now, working on to try and see if we can't get a heritage grant on the town hall.
Yeah.
And I've been working with some people in Peterborough, and I've got some names that I'll leave with council today that and hopefully, maybe we can get some person to head this up from council, because it's something that's badly needed.
Okay, all right, then, for this today, I'll take a motion that we work with the Vintage Vehicle Club here and see this thing move forward, so.
Sorry, I just want a quick interjection. Have you ever thought about working along with the farmer's market and having, something together with them, or? Have you thought about working with the farmer's market?
Well,
Combining it,
no,
or is that-
because we looked at that, but the only problem with it is the parking situation. They use this part, so that was my first thought. We'd tie it all in together, and then Sherry made a good point. She said, "Dad, where are you gonna park?" And I said, "Oh my God."
That's true.
So
That's a good thought, but yeah, I think it's a great idea.
well, you get the more people you come up with, and there's been some great suggestions.
Okay, all right then, if you have a mover and a seconder.
Yep.
All in favor of the motion? And that's carried.
Okay.
Okay, so we have one information item here with regards to care, so I'll take a motion to receive the balance of the correspondence that's there. Moved by Councillor Doherty and seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, so we move into committee liaison reports. So our activity reports, so all of us, or a lot of us were at Roma. I don't know if anybody has anything to report for this meeting, or if they want to bring it to the next meeting. But Bev, do you have anything from Roma at all that you wanted to speak about?
Not off the top.
Okay. All right. then.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm just gonna go through the list here. Jerry, did you have anything from Roma that you wanted to?
Good conference, that's very busy, very crammed, a lot of information.
Yeah. Kathy?
I brought back a couple of things. I brought back a program for our public works manager, our park manager, and for our building manager. Take the cable locate course. It's less than $100 each. We have the equipment, but they've never been properly trained. And so I talked to someone there and they're willing to do the training. And then the second thing I brought back is I purchased new composter, which can be here hopefully this week. And the program currently going on with Selwyn. And I'm hoping to talk to them about it. There's quite an article in the Peterborough Examiner the other day. And I'm quite anxious to get mine and see how it works and possibly look into something like that for us.
That's good. Yeah, that's quite a thing. So I did talk to a couple of municipalities that did that, and it really helped with their composting and recycling.
Absolutely.
So, okay. All right then, Deputy Mayor Webb, you had the service board meeting on January 25th and next on November 14th. So.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's got any comments or questions. The service board meeting January's the first one, so it was pretty corporate, I guess. One thing that didn't come out of that was speaking with Inspector Galeazza in terms of the Black Cat. Would we rent the Black Cat now?
We own it,
but we own it now. in terms of putting a whatchamacallit, a permanent sign, we talked about whether it be beneficial to the township to just invest the money in the permanent sign, right? But rather than doing what we're doing and running a trailer all over the place, in terms of maybe identifying, for us, it would be Highway 7, probably your 6th line, and maybe, you know, North Road here out of town. And just look at the cost of that in terms of what we're doing now, if we just got the signs, you know, fix them there instead of. Right now, we kind of get them and we move them around, which takes staff time and everything else, right? And so I kind of looking into that. I know we've discussed it with the last council, but I don't know how far we got with it.
Through you, Mayor Martin, previous council did approve the purchase of the digital sign and it'll be coming to budget.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So that's about it. So if it's coming to budget, then actually we can deal with it there. So
It's a black cat.
speed sign.
Oh,
So it doesn't have you don't see it.
okay,
So we own it. All the municipalities got together and bought one each.
okay,
So the police put it up for us.
okay.
We don't put it up. So, and they take all the data off of it and then they share that at the police service board meeting. So it's a really good little thing and it's you don't even know what it, like, you won't see it. It's like, not like the numbers flash. It's just a gray box that they strap to a pole.
Wow.
And then at Hart's meeting, he'll get a report of where it was. And it gives you an idea, and it gives them an idea of if there's a consistent, like it shows the time and everything. So you might see a spot where at 5:30 in the morning, there's a car speeding every morning going to work. Well, they know maybe at 5:30, we're gonna set up radar at that spot there. And it's worked in the past. They have caught some people that way, where the other one is that we're looking at is more of a it flashes and it makes you slow down.
Oh, yeah, those I see all the
So we had the trailer one. I remember when Dave was there one time and he phoned me and said that I was speeding through, he caught me speeding. So anyways, that one there, it works to slow people down as far as flashing, but it's and we're gonna be getting one here hopefully in the near future. So
Okay.
we do have the other ones, but one broke and the other one, they're old. So
The sign is moved around by OPP or?
yeah,
Where they feel there's a need or do it.
and you can request too, so we have in the past, the 6th line was a problem, so we say, hey, can you take it over the 6th line or even Highway 7,
It's nice, but it's just basically for data collection, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the other side, one could probably get the data collection and have it somewhat as a deterrent, right? Because it's there flashing in front of you, whatever, so.
So
They do make a difference. The flashing ones.
Well, that's what I've noticed, right? When I come into Hastings.
Yeah.
The one there, like I noticed I'm always going too fast coming in.
Sterling gets me, so
Yeah.
One on Arbor Road, there's one out of Lakefield and.
Yeah.
It snaps you to attention when it's 70 and it's a 50. You're like, woo.
Okay,
My brake pads here.
So we do have minutes here from my last meeting, I guess it would be from November 14th, so I'll look for a motion to receive those minutes. So moved by Hart, seconder. Councilor Thomas, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, then, and for me here, you know, I was at Roma also, and it was a great conference, nice to get back in person. I did a couple of them by Zoom and it's just not the same. I did, Doug Ford was there on Monday morning along with the health minister. Attended several workshops and sessions around Blue Box and attracting housing development to rural areas. And then we had Honorable Steve Clark, Municipal Affairs and Housing there for speaking. And it's one of those things that you get more out of networking than you do the session sometimes, but there was some really good sessions there. But it's a cram-packed couple of days, and I have suggested to the county that now that they've shortened this thing up and they've crammed it all in, that if you don't get there early in the morning on the Sunday, you almost should be there the Saturday night to get ready for the stuff on Sunday morning, because it starts and you don't have a room until some people were 5, 6 o'clock before they got a room. You're carrying your suitcase around to the sessions. We were lucky and got in right away, but it is a problem. So they've changed the format. It used to be in with the good roads and a 3-day conference, where now it's squeezed into 2 half days and a full day in the middle, and it's jam packed. So
Isn't it almost too much? Because like Hey, or in the time frame of 2 to 4, before even, you want to go to 3 of them, but you can't. You know, and if you went to one and left to go to another one, you missed the beat of that. It was so much.
Yeah, it's
It really is a lot.
a lot, but lots of good information. You brought back some good information. Everybody's, I think, gained some knowledge of things that go on, so. And my other thing here was Pro Valley, which I sent you already. There is some here from the CVCA watershed from November 17th and December 7th. And wait a minute. Oh yeah, and one is around the full authority meeting for December 7th. So take a motion to receive the minutes from the CVCA. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so the next item here is a written.
Mayor Martin.
Sorry, yeah, there.
County council update.
Okay. There wasn't much from the last meeting. I think it was 20 minutes long. It was mostly in closed session. And then we had
the January 18th.
Yeah. Okay. You have some.
Yeah, just a little bit. We had a meeting January 18th. First up was Peterborough Fourth Economic Development. They just basically gave their fourth quarter update and initial budget presentation. I don't have an increase because we got no 22, 21 or 22 numbers, so I have no comparatives to give you what the actual increase is from PCAD. Hopefully at the next meeting we'll have that. Had a budget presentation from Fairhaven. Theirs was very nice, projecting a 0% increase, so always nice to see those numbers. And there was a quick discussion about Bill C-23 and the effects on development charges for the county and townships. And I'm not going to get into that because it's quite complicated. If you have any questions or maybe ask me after the meeting, I can get into it that way. But like I said, there's a number of questions surrounding that and how it's going to affect both the county and the townships in terms of planning dollars and whatnot. So that was the meeting. We had a meeting Thursday, February 2nd, as the mayor indicated, Wednesday, February 1st. He indicated it wasn't very long, I think, because we had a budget meeting the next day. Thursday, February 2nd, we had an initial budget meeting. You want me to come up with the levy or not? The initial levy proposed by staff was 8%, which is extremely high. That includes a 2.5% infrastructure.
It's for like roads, so we put that in every year for the past 3 or 4 years. It's been we start off at 2.5% for infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then the budget goes whatever's above that.
So that's to tap up their reserves or?
No, it's for construction, road construction.
And asset management too.
Some of it toward, around.
Future planning, basically, to cover off the asset management.
And it's still short, like it should be 5%. If we wanted to really get caught up on our roads, we're over 5% is what we would need. That would, in the past, that's where county council has come up with that number that we're trying to stick with, so we don't slip back. We were told what the repercussions are. If we were to take it back to 2% or 1.5%, we're gonna slip farther behind. So it's just the nature of the beast around roads. So whether it stays or not, we're just starting the process. So
well, I'll just say staff was greeted less than enthusiastically by the council when they presented those numbers. So
I think
we have two more meetings in the next 2 weeks. So we're seeing that number will come down. I don't know how much. I'm hoping in the 4 to 5 range.
Well, right now it's at 4.3 or something like that.
So,
but the salaries have just escalated. Economically
and there's a couple of departments there that have been identified too in terms of substantial increase year to year, right? So especially when other departments like Fairhaven are running to zero. So which to me, if anybody would have cost increases, it would be them, right? So if they can run it at zero. Anyways, we'll get into that, won't we, Jim?
And, but we're not supporting 8% or something.
No, it's not 8% now.
It's but down to 4.3, and we're looking for a number of a bit less than that.
All the budget info is available on the website. Whatever, and I do have the thing for you after.
So
and that's about it. And any questions? I know that's not super detailed, but
the biggest increase for all municipalities that have been speaking at any of the budgets that I've been watching is, and Peter can speak to it, if we see it in our own houses. You look at gas prices from last year to this year. Can you imagine running a couple hundred trucks and the price of gas doubling? That's
Yes, but that's what I get into the other day, is that right now, if I look at it, the gas is pretty much the same price it was before the pandemic.
it's coming down now, and that's why it's good with.
Yeah, but we're projecting into 2023 now.
Yeah.
Not based on what happened in 2022 when gas was 220, so maybe some of those numbers could be adjusted.
And that stuff we'll have to watch, because I just know my own business. It doubled last year. My fuel prices last year were twice as much.
But they'll come down this year.
I hope so.
Well, they will.
Or I'm out of business. So anyways, yeah, so that'll be a lot of the discussion around, and supply chain shortages. You can't get vehicles, you can't get parts. So we're paying top dollar for everything around that. So anyways, it's gonna be it's not expected to be completed till March. So we'll see how it goes. It's a lot more discussion.
And yeah, we have a meeting next week. So what I mean by our next meeting, so in 2 weeks at this meeting, we'll probably have a lot more detail and I'll be a lot closer to the final number. So, but feel free to.
No, not about budgets. Bob and I had an opportunity of chatting on the way to Madoc, both the blue box system. And I, because it come up with Roma, I know that's a county initiative, but if somebody could just tell me that we won't pay anything towards the blue box, that is a cost supported by the county in its entirety.
Yeah.
So the bins that are at the 6th line and the substations are picked up and paid for by the county.
Recycle.
Yeah. Okay, good. No, that was one of my, but because everybody talked about an agreement that we're gonna have to opt in or opt out. And I don't know if we had an agreement, just going by what the seminar said, it's going to be full force in what, 25, I think is there's a phase in period.
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
Yeah, so that's what it's called, producer, it's a circular thing where it's gonna be the producers are gonna be responsible for recycling.
Yeah, but they have to have a place to dump it. And are they gonna tie that into our land sites? And are we going to get paid for it? Like those are things
Those are all things that need to be worked out.
But I don't know whether we have a particular agreement now that's going to expire or not.
Well, the troubling thing is the first agreement they came in with was way too expensive, right? So I mean, people assume that there'll be a net savings from this, I think, and whereby if we start letting the companies do this, I see that probably the cost is going to go up in the future because you're doing private business.
Recycling is just, that's a whole other beast as far as, because even as far as the recycling that's being picked up, I don't know how much goes to the dump anyways. A lot of it gets, like, if it's not sorted properly, it's going to the dump anyways. It's, so that's up to us to do a better job on that side of it. So, yeah, Peter, do you have anything to add?
Just through you, Mayor Martin, just briefly, so we've retained Cambium to help us with the CMO transition with the blue box recycling. So we haven't even had our first meeting yet with CMO. So we'll have a lot more. We've been provided some presentations to council. So as soon as we get a meeting set up with CMO for the recycling blue box transition, we'll bring it to council for an update for sure.
Okay. It could be the same one. Is that the same one that the county's dealing with?
It is, yeah.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, that's correct.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Okay.
Well, it's good for the providers to start getting, because that's where it comes from.
That's right.
There's no garbage farms in Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, so it's a byproduct of the stuff we buy.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah, the producer, so maybe they'll hence their packaging problems.
Yeah.
That's the theory.
That's the theory.
But now they have to pay for it.
Yeah, and I don't know how.
In which case you and I are gonna pay for it.
There's only one taxpayer.
All right then. Okay, well, good discussion. So next we'll move into, we have a written notice of motion, two of them actually, so, first one here is Kathy, you have your motion there.
Or the HBO or for
Yeah.
the HPM Pratt?
You wanna read it?
Okay.
The long
Oh
one.
my gosh. Lordy, it's in the paper somewhere. Can I just say what do I have to read the motion or you've got it? Thank you.
Don't have to read the whole thing, just the gist of it.
If I could just summarize.
Thank you.
Please correct me if I
Okay.
get it wrong. But the motion basically addresses the purchase of the fireworks and the sponsorship of the fireworks display at the Fire and Ice Festival for a total amount of $5,000, including taxes. And as a condition of that purchase of fireworks, organizers are requested to provide the township with proof of insurance that covers the township and the entirety of the event. And further, that organizers of the 2023 Fire and Ice Festival be required to present at an open session, regular council meeting, a detailed statement of revenues and expenses for the festival within 60 days following the conclusion of the 2023 Fire and Ice Festival.
Gotta be May then, because they have until March 31st to,
Spend the money.
Spend, correct, yeah.
And my other big thing with the insurance is I want to make sure that we are totally covered, because they're talking about they're having it for 30 or 31 days or whatever. I want to see full coverage for whatever's happening. I do not want any liability of this township or our taxpayers.
Yeah. Okay, so the motion covers.
Covers
all of
the
that.
entirety of the event.
Okay.
Okay,
I would like to ask Councillor Clement if we could also put an addendum to that, is that we have staff provide the soft costs that HBM is providing, so we could have it as a complete package. When we go with the report back, that we are contributors.
Premier Martin staff is currently tracking all in-kind donations, so all time spent for all departments, and we will definitely bring that report back to council.
It's just some kids that
Yeah.
look, we were just 5,000 and we're not, we're contributing.
It's quite a bit more than.
Yeah. And that's our big thing is we did promise our taxpayers that we would do our due diligence, and I think financial report is fair.
Are you prepared to amend or add an addendum to the motion for that, or do you want?
yes, you want that added in there.
Or do you just want?
If you like, we will bring the report regardless. That's our plan.
Okay,
So we will definitely bring it.
Okay.
I just think it simultaneous is good because
Absolutely. Fair.
So the motion is on the floor here, for mover. You're moving it.
That includes the rink, right? Would include the rink.
Yeah. The insurance for the rink and any activity.
Anything associated with the Fire and Ice Festival.
the rink one starts early and goes probably a little later too.
Yeah.
Is it separate, like? With it?
Well, the rink is there all the time.
Yeah, like, we're gonna make sure they have all the documents for the season. I think in the future, we've always been trying to get this, so. This is just putting it in writing here that, if it happens again, we've always wanted this and we need it now, or this won't be happening again, so.
So right now, the rink, if a child falls and hurts themselves, is it our insurance that's paying for that?
What I've learned over the years is it's always gonna come back to the deepest pocket, but they have insurance, it'll go through theirs first.
Because they're operating it now under HBM Predator, not.
Yeah, so they'll have their insurance. It's like the skating club has their insurance, but in the end, if, everybody will get named into the thing and then see where it ends up, but this will.
Okay.
Make sure that we have this in place, so it's your motion, you're moving it.
Yes, it is.
And do I have a seconder for this motion?
Sure.
Councilor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. Dave,
I know I'm not supposed to ask any questions, but I hope that the people this Saturday know where the fireworks are going to take place. Is that advertised? Because there's a lot of people with pets are not happy if they're not notified at least.
yeah, so the last time they did it at the back of the school, and I'm thinking, good question, and we'll have to find that out here.
Right.
It's been happening so fast here, Dave. This just came to us about a month ago. Everything's running late, so. Okay, so we'll make sure of that, and it'll be advertised on our website.
And can you put it on the running board?
Yeah. So, So the next motion here is Councilor Doherty with regards to the draft budget, so. The staff is hereby directed to present the draft budget 2024 on November 7th, 2023 for discussion by council. So
I'll move it.
okay, Jerry's moving it. Is there a seconder for that? Anybody?
Well, I'd like to ask the mover if you'd be willing to modify your motion. I just think November 7th is too early.
What date would you recommend? The second council meeting in November?
No, I'm thinking more into December, probably. You know, an initial one, maybe sometime before Christmas, and then we can dive right into it in January.
I still think it's too late to provide, especially on the capital.
Understand,
side.
understand.
That's all I'm thinking, is
Yeah.
strictly the capital.
So
I don't know, that's kind of,
So for today, the motion is that November 7th. Is there a seconder for that motion? I think it's way too early. We got a lot of things we're dealing with, and I think, you know, next year might be more realistic, but for this year.
The first meeting in December, what date is that? I don't have
The calendar.
this
I just don't even know if that's possible.
second or something.
oh,
I don't know.
We only have one in December.
can we not, if we made it December, can you not make it?
We had a
If it's gonna be a
presentation.
problem, then obviously we can get a report. You know,
Like our treasurer had said that it would be coming in March. As far as I think it was early March, if I remember correctly, Bob. For this year.
Last meeting in November. Well, the motion could be, like, if it's not ready, I mean, I'm sure. Lionel will come to Bob and say, can we extend it a week? But right now we have to, to me, we have to have a goal.
And the goal was March. He told us that March he would.
No, we're talking about 24.
Okay, yeah, sorry, 24.
Sorry, 23 is
Yeah.
Year, this is for.
Yeah, so sorry, that's right. So the December, that's what he said his goal was for the next budget. This one here, I'm just not sure, but
I'm not talking about this year, I'm talking.
No, that's what I mean. No, I mean.
24 is to getting some dates
Next
around
December.
it, so we can have something to work towards.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you want to amend that to sometime in December, I think that would be fair.
Yeah.
It was just an initial report, right? We're gonna have,
Well, if you do it in December, that means nothing gets done until January, because we only have one meeting in December. And we only have one meeting in January typically.
yeah, but I think it gives us each member, you know, a good month to look at the numbers
Yeah.
and make a decision. So when we do get back there in January, we've got more than enough time to look at the numbers and have it ready to meet.
Just to see how it falls out.
The date,
December 5th.
5th, I can amend it to December 5th.
Through you, Mayor Martin, I believe the date is December 12th, based on our meeting calendar.
Probably was going to the first of the.
There might
Not in
only
December.
one in December.
So
So
that's
that's
December 12th. Does that work for you? Like,
Now, let it
Gary, there's a lot of unknowns.
just let it go. If we can't get a seconder, that's fine.
All right, so there was no seconder, so the motion's defeated. Okay, thank you. All right then, so we're gonna move into other business and so I was the only one on here, am I?
You're the only one on.
Okay, so I had a couple of things on here that over the last few snowstorms, I've been noticing Highway 7, and this is something that's happened years ago, but number 7 highway isn't maintaining the same standard on this side of Drains Road as it is on the west side. We're class 2, they're class 1. If you notice, and I'm out a lot during the middle of the night, and seeing cars in the ditch on this side of the road, and it's fine on the other side. They don't plow the passing lane until the end of the storm. They don't do any turning lanes till the end of the storm. And they have a different, I think the cycle for this side of the depot is over 2 hours. We turn around to get around the thing, and on the other side, it's under 2 hours. It's like 1.5 hours, different equipment. I think we need to invite MTO to come and meet with us. We have several issues with them, so this is one of those things that we need to try again, to get MTO to come and speak to us about the standard that they're keeping on Highway 7. Highway 7 is it's a major highway that shouldn't be different. When people are driving from Peterborough to Ottawa or Toronto to Ottawa, there shouldn't be any difference in the level of service. And they changed this 2 or 3 years ago. The past council tried to speak to it. This was the answer we got back from them, but I think we need to have a face-to-face now that things are opening up. See if we can get MTO in here, and there's other issues around the connecting link and that maybe we could put together a couple of questions before then. But for now, I was hoping that we could get a motion that we invite MTO to come to one of our meetings and explain the standard of care that we get for Highway 7. And if there's something else we want to add to it, we can do that, but whether it's the site. So.
Through you, Mayor. So what is the difference between the classification 1 and 2? What makes up 2 and then 1, or what's the difference?
It's probably counts, the traffic counts, but I really can't see there being that difference of a traffic count from halfway between here and Norwood.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, maybe Drains has 200 employees going in there every morning and it's making the count go different. I don't know. But I think they need to explain it to us. It's a major highway. Let them tell us. We did get an email a couple of years ago, but maybe we need to get an explanation because we've got other things, like they're supposed to be upgrading the highway between here and Marmora too. That didn't happen this year. It was supposed to happen last year. And I know there's doing some work right around our Stone Hall. So I just think if I could get a motion that we invite MTO here to talk about Highway 7, you know, maybe we can get some movement here. So
we also include the light.
yeah, like that's what I mean. We can add a couple of things to the thing, like it could be the light and the construction between here and Marmora. But my main thing today was like I say, the last storm, I've seen 3 cars in the ditch between here and Drain Turn. And that's because of 6 inches of snow in the turning lane and people try to use it. So there should be no difference in Highway 7 between here and.
I wouldn't have thought there'd be any change anywhere along Highway 7.
No.
Like, you look at all the municipalities and the sizes of them.
So we didn't meet with the MTO last year. Was it requested?
Yeah, we tried to last year, but the last couple of years have been really hard to get any real meetings where things are starting to open up now. And I think there's an opportunity that we can maybe try and get them in here.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so if I can get a motion that we invite the MTO to come in, talk about Highway 7. We can keep it general if you like, but we should have some items on there. So they're prepared when they come and like the light at the east end of town and the construction that's planned for Highway 7. Maybe they could, the 3 things would be the standard of care and the winter maintenance, traffic light and construction plan for this summer. And when it's gonna happen. So somebody want to make that motion? Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councillor Clement.
Yes. Can I ask one more thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the learning thing. The connecting link. I have a brief lesson on the connecting link.
We could probably do that.
In another.
Yeah, if you can, I don't know whether Peter's prepared, that's, I mean, staff would, it'd be better if it was at a meeting that they bring back a report.
Our learning process.
And that's probably a good thing. So if we could get a report from staff on the connecting link, would that would help give Peter time to put something together.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, yep, that's a good question. So
Are we done with that? Because I'd like to digress if I could, because back to the county with budget time, is George Street still on the wagon?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, they carried everything over, so it'll be that's still in the budget and same as Burnt Dam Bridge and things like that were planned last time, they're still there. So I think the bridge will be done this summer, if I'm not mistaken, but so the other thing I had on, all in favor of that motion? That's great. Okay. The other item I have on here is a facility tour. As we go into budget, the date that I put on here was eaten up before it even got to print. So February 23rd is out of the question. I was just thinking it would be nice sometime early March, before early March. So is there, yeah, we all have a lot on the go and I can get my calendar up, but it's just second Pat, it's so I was looking at the 27th. I don't know if that works. That's the Monday after. And then I think there's March
27th doesn't work for me.
27th doesn't, okay. Okay, so March 6th I had still open.
What day is that? Of the week?
That's a Monday.
Monday.
It's before our council meeting, or so far, it kind of scares me when I see a blank week. I don't, when's March break? Oh,
It would be the week after, I think, or maybe even 2 weeks after.
okay. All right, so the Monday or so the 7th or 6th or the 9th would works for me, but
What is the night? Is that the
that's a Thursday. No.
Oh, that's.
Okay, or the 10th.
I'm okay with the 6th. I'm just one.
Okay, so 6th of March, does that work for everyone?
This plan's good.
Okay, Mondays are sometimes
Monday
safe,
is
so that's a Monday.
That's fine.
Well. 10 o'clock, 9:30,
Yeah, I think so, 9:30ish, 9:30.
9:30, March 6th.
Okay.
I don't know what you have to add, it's just what. No, past the delegation part of it, but we've been kind of opening up a little bit. What do you?
Just wanted to welcome the new councillors and the old councillors. One thing, I don't know whether you've noticed the breadth of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen, but you've taken on quite a job, and before you're done, you'll probably lose a lot of friends, that's all. On a different note, though, there was thing came out in the rail back a little while ago when maybe somebody was angry with council, but it would seem, is this door closed to the community? You see, we pretty well went to Zoom.
Yeah.
And 50% of the people in Havelock, they're not on Zoom. They have no idea what's going on, and they think that you're not open for business no more. Everything's secret, just so you know that. And I just noticed that your podium's over there. The other thing I noticed, we don't have no more speakers in here. I have hearing aids, but I can't hear what you're saying, Mr. Mayor.
So we just found that out. Jordy brought that to our attention this morning. We are in person. We're advertising that we're open. We're both now. We have people online watching too right now.
Yeah.
But we just found out this morning. We didn't realize that it was hard to hear in the audience, and we're gonna look into that this week to try and fix that.
We spent a pile of money here back a few years ago. Dave he was a previous councillor, and we had microphones.
We have them, but it was messing up. We have new microphones here now too. Right here.
What are they doing?
But they're more for the online, so that's what we didn't realize, that the other ones we're gonna work on it this week, so we have the plan in place to, and the podium just got moved before you got here. We had delegates.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I think what council needs to do, or maybe CEO there, is to make note and get that in the rail, because people actually do. They say, well, you can't get in there no more. You're gonna you have to make an appointment out here at the front to get in. That's why I came in that way. I'll tell you.
Oh, well, okay, well, we'll look at how we're advertising stuff.
Anyway, good luck on your new venture, guys.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now to is there any other business? There's no other business listed, so for the next meeting, you get it on the agenda. So next is bylaws. We're moving into bylaws. And we have one bylaw for today to establish the installment dates for the interim taxes of 2023. A motion to move that bylaw, moved by Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor, and that's carried. We have no closed session today, so I'll look for confirming bylaw, a motion for the confirming bylaw. So, Councillor Doherty, Councillor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. And motion to adjourn. Hard seating that one up, and Councillor Flagler second, all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you.
The tax bills